Welcome to Medfield TV. I'm James Callahan, and this is Andy Latai. Today, we're conducting the third of 3 interviews in our series to introduce the 3 candidates who are running for representative to the 9th Norfolk District to the Medfield House of Representatives. Sean Dooley, Republican candidate, Edward J. McCormick III, Democratic candidate, and Chris Timson, Independent candidate. The special election is for 6 towns. In Medfield, this election is for precincts 3 and 4 only. The special election primary is on Tuesday, December 10th, and the special election general election is on January 7th. This program has been organized by the Medfield League of Women Voters. They have sponsored this initiative to engage Medfield High students in the process of educating the citizens of Medfield about the candidates seeking office to replace Representative Dan Winslow, who resigned in September. I'd like to give a special thanks to Ms. Ann Farahar, who has assisted us in writing out these questions for the candidates. Today, we'll be interviewing Chris Timson. Mr. Timson, we're very glad to have you here with us today, and we'd like to start off with a brief introductory statement about why you're running for this office.
Great, thank you. The reason why I'm running is probably similar to the reason why you 2 young men are here today. You feel that your participation in this process is going to do some good for the community, for your school, and that's the same reason why I'm running. My beginnings in politics were very humble and unexpected. I was raking my lawn when I had moved to Walpole, and someone I didn't even know came up and said, "Hey, will you run for town meeting rep? The person who's doing it won't run." And initially I was resistant. This was about 15 years ago. But then I started to think, I can help people out by participating in town government. I have skills as an attorney that I can utilize. I know law. And so I felt that as an attorney, I also had an obligation to use my skills and my knowledge, not just to earn a living for my family, but also to do something good and give back to the community. Those same principles apply to why I'm running for state rep. Now, wanting to do good and having a law degree are fine attributes for perhaps for a state rep, but they don't make you qualified to do it. So if you fast forward now to where I am 15 years later, I've been a town meeting representative for 15 years. I've been on the Board of Selectmen for 7+ years. I've been on the Finance Committee in Walpole. I've chaired the Bylaw Review Committee. I've done the Charter Review Committee. So I have an extensive body of knowledge and experience that I can bring to bear as a state rep. I'm acutely aware of the issues that face municipalities, especially. I've had to fight on Beacon Hill to get educational funds for Walpole. And so in that sense, I find myself in a position that I'm qualified. I have the will, the knowledge, and the know-how, and I feel that I can do good for the community and for all the towns of the 9th Norfolk District if I were elected.
Awesome, thank you. We're going to continue with 10 questions, and you'll have 3 minutes to answer each. The first one's about the minimum wage. The state Senate recently approved a bill raising the minimum wage to $11 per hour, the highest rate in the nation. The House of Representatives will likely take up this bill early next year. How would you vote on this as Medfield State Representative? And what else can we do to improve economic opportunity?
Well, there are many facets to this issue. You have to look at whether there's a living wage for families to actually survive upon, and the minimum wage currently doesn't cut that. You have to look at exceptions for teen workers and retirees. If you raise the minimum wage too much, those groups might get angled out of employment opportunities. You need to look at the businesses that are involved. Massachusetts has the 2nd highest unemployment tax rate in the nation. And if you raise the minimum wage, you're going to raise those expenses as well. It amounts to about a 37% increase in the wage if you followed the Senate plan. And that may be too steep. So I'm not sure I would support the Senate plan because they don't have the exceptions that I've talked about that you need. in order to deal with all the constituency groups that are infected by this. So the blunt answer is no, but I do think we should raise the minimum wage because it historically goes up and it hasn't gone up since 2008. In terms of what else I would do to help the business climate, I have a extensive background of being business friendly in Walpole. I would like to have a business roundtable where we meet with the local businesses on a periodic basis in order to find out what they need and try and get them what they need in order to grow and create more jobs. I'd like to have a cooperative co-op set up so that we can have veterans get experience with some of these companies and hopefully get jobs long-term out of that. And I would just promote a pro-business type of agenda as I've done in the town of Walpole.
Thank you.
All right. Due to a provision in the state constitution, Massachusetts is currently one of only 9 states with a flat income tax rate. Opponents claim this is an outdated, regressive policy, but attempts to change the law at the ballot box have always failed by wide margins. Would you be in favor of amending the state constitution to allow for progressive income tax rate? Also, should the 6.25% sales tax stay where it is?
You guys always ask 2 questions at once.
What do you say?
No, seriously, you have to listen to what the voters say. When I first ran for selectman, I called upon a longstanding selectman in another town, and he said, do not ignore what the voters say. And the voters have spoken twice on this issue. My suspicion is that they don't trust the government to come up with a plan that's fairer than the flat tax that's out there right now. Once you go to a graduated income tax, they see what's going on at the federal level. There are so many exceptions and so on and so forth that people don't feel it's really quite fair. So I think if you were going to try and do make this change to a graduated income tax, if you could set it up so that it would reduce local property taxes, that might be a way to entice people to do it. I don't say that I have the solution to that, but it's something that I would be willing to look at. In terms of reducing the sales tax to reducing the sales tax from 6.25%, I think that people don't want to do that if it again is going to raise their local property taxes. I think that voters want it to go down. Obviously, they voted for it twice. What my solution would be to, on a periodic basis, do a state budget wherein you plug in a 5% sales tax and see what that results in. Is it going to make the local taxes go up? It would also force the state reps and the state delegation to look at the budget, see what can be cut, and I think it's a healthy exercise.
Next question. A study by the Massachusetts Taxpayer Foundation found that at the end of 2012, state and municipal retirement funds across the Commonwealth had $146 billion in unfunded liabilities, with $63 billion on hand and a gap of $83 billion. How do you plan to close this gap?
This is a very, very difficult subject. I've followed with a lot of interest the news stories that have come out recently. I don't know if you've seen them about Detroit declaring bankruptcy, and just today a story came out about Illinois changing their retirement setup, and there's a lot of retirees that are very upset about that. This is a problem that needs to be looked at and have a collaborative solution between all the constituencies and all the parties, or, there's potentially a disastrous result that can occur. We want to try and keep the promises that we've made to the retirees that have retired. But we have to look and change the retirement system so that it's more affordable. We look at what's happened in the private sector, as unfortunate it is to change what the state and municipal employees have been looking at as their retirement. I think we have to look more at that model, make retirement age older, and we're going to have to look at these benefits. I've dealt with these types of unfunded mandates. There's a thing called OPEB, Other Post-Employment Benefits. Every town of the 9th Norfolk District has this unfunded mandate. It's health insurance for retirees. In Walpole, it's about $47 million at this point, and it keeps growing. That's about half of our budget. How do we deal with that? Well, at least what I've done is I've made sure that we now have a line item budget item every year that we put at least some money into that so that we're trying to fund it. That should be done at the state level too.
Thank you. While Massachusetts has approached its goal of near universal health care coverage, costs for care have risen exorbitantly since 2006. What specific plan do you have to better keep costs under control?
Well, I know all too acutely this problem. I've faced it as a small businessman for the past 20 plus years, paying for health insurance, and I've seen it on the Board of Selectmen. When we were dealing with, when I was the chairman of the board, we were trying to negotiate municipal health insurance plan design, and it went, unfortunately, very poorly. I like to think that we were part of at least the cog that got a law passed that allowed municipalities, cities and towns, to save about $100 million on their employee health insurance plans. We pushed this at the state level. I'm not afraid to go up to the next level of government and try to make things happen, and I was proud of that accomplishment, both for myself and for our board. What I see as the plan, first of all, Obamacare is coming in. That is increasing costs, unfortunately. Massachusetts, I think, had it right. I'd like to see us get an exception from Obamacare. I don't know how doable that is, but that would be something that I would like to see. I'd also focus on wellness programs. I think that if we nip things in the bud, that's going to reduce health insurance costs. There was a spike in overdoses in Walpole, and I set up a youth drug and alcohol awareness program in the school, collaborating with teachers, policemen, and the various constituencies, and it's been very successful. That's the type of program that I would like to see. In addition, you have to foster competition and make the public aware of what the costs are and the benefits of going to different doctors and facilities. And I know Denise Garlick, the other state rep from Medfield, has proposed a cost containment program, a bill, and I would work with her on that as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
The state legislature is currently considering a bill that would raise the dropout age to 18. Is this a good idea? And what else can the state do to improve education?
Well, you have excellent questions.
Double questions.
First of all, I'm an ardent advocate for education. I've said many times that the great generator of wealth for cities and towns, as well as for the individuals within those towns, is education. So I follow the Suburban Coalition policies on a yearly basis, and I've gone with them to the State House to lobby for education funds, for Walpole anyway. At first blush, raising the dropout age from 16, actually you can drop out at 14 under certain circumstances, to 18 makes sense, on a basic level, because if kids are in school longer, they're going to learn and be more productive. But how do you deal with the problem of kids that don't want to be there? There's teen pregnancy issues. There's kids that have to work. This isn't so much a problem in the 9th Norfolk District. We're blessed because we don't have that type of problem so much, but certainly in the urban areas, it's a problem. Well, you need to have a program if you're going to raise this age to deal with that. And I know Medfield has joined the Education Collaborative. That's a program where they're setting up a virtual school so that kids can study online in a controlled environment. Now, if we had something like that in connection with raising the dropout age, so that kids who have those issues and can't attend school or don't want to be there and are potentially going to drag down the rest of the system, that they have an outlet to become educated and be productive. In terms of improving education, there's so many things that I would like to say about this, but I know she's going to tell me I only have a minute left. So what I would basically tell you is that my goal would be to stop the unfunded mandates that come down from the state and the federal government that bust the budgets of our local municipalities. It's a significant problem. It's one of the reasons why we have difficulties and our property taxes keep going up. for instance, the Common Core that's coming in right now, I don't support that at this point. And there's other ones that are causing all kinds of issues and problems, and I would make that a priority.
Thank you. All right, looks like this is the last double question. Casinos are facing significant hurdles to opening in Massachusetts, as towns like Milford and East Boston vote down proposals. A grassroots advocacy group called Repeal the Casino Deal has filed more than 90,000 signatures to halt gambling in the state. As Medfield's representative, where do you stand on casino gambling? And would you support efforts to open a casino anywhere within the district?
Well, Plainville has recently voted on the Racino at their Plain Ridge track, and there was a 70% approval rating. So the people of Plainville have essentially said that they want to have a Racino in there, and I would support that. I would point out that that particular location is unique, in my opinion. It's right up against the highway. It has great access. It's not up against the neighborhood, and there's already gambling going on there. So it is kind of a unique situation. If they want, the jobs and the things that come along with having a Racino, I would support that. Personally, if that's the question, I'm not sure that I support casino gambling myself. That's not something that I'm generally in favor of. In fact, as a selectman in Walpole, I assisted in the fight to successfully defeat a casino proposal that was going in Foxborough. Now that one was hard up against a Walpole residential community. There were access problems. Route 1, I don't know if anyone's been around a Patriots game, but you can imagine if you added a casino to that mix. And the people in Foxborough and in Walpole did not want that. So I'm certainly not looking to cite a casino anywhere that someone doesn't want one, but it looks like Plainville does want it, and I would support that.
Medfield's other state rep, Denise Garlick, went to the State House with a background in nursing. As a result, she served on the committees of Public and Mental Health, as well as worked on the Healthcare Cost Containment Bill. Is there a particular area of government where you think you can make a difference?
Well, I like to think I'd be like a player on a Bill Belichick Patriots team. I think I can play a lot of positions. I have a lot of strengths, and I think that there's a lot of places that I could help and fit in. I know municipal government very well. I know the needs of municipalities. I've been fighting for the needs of a municipality for the last 7 years. So I think probably the place that I would fit in is on a committee for municipal and regional government, although I could fit in very well on the Judiciary Committee. I know budgeting. I could fit in on a committee that deals with budgeting. I'm very involved in school issues. I have been my whole career in politics, so I could fit in on that type of a committee. But this joint committee on municipalities and regional government, it deals with assisting municipalities in writing special laws and enactments and establishing economic and regional planning zones. And again, I've been quite involved in business development in Walpole, so I think that would be a place that I'd fit in very well.
All right. Right now, Medfield is looking at several major construction projects: Dale Street School, the police and fire department, and a possible new parks and recreation facility. These three deteriorating town infrastructures all need to be fixed now, but pose a tremendous cost to the town. What can the state do to help Medfield and other cities and towns seeking to undertake public works projects?
I know this all too well. Walpole has the exact same issues that we've been grappling with and dealing with. And the state has a program to fund schools and libraries. Okay, so that's where you can get a lot of state assistance. There are some other less lucrative, if you will, or less well-funded angles, grants and things like that. So as a state rep, what I would do is facilitate and assist any application that were made by Medfield in order to get these funds. Now, what else could be done? Because that's basically the structure that's set up right now. I don't see why, and I think it's at least worth looking into, whether there could be a similar funding mechanism at the state for other municipal buildings besides schools and libraries. I think it's worth looking into. Obviously, coming up with the funds and a funding mechanism is always a problem, but I think that would be a worthwhile endeavor because it seems like every city and town at this point has these infrastructure problems that they're trying to deal with, and it's very difficult. I mean, you're looking at a Proposition 2.5 override for almost every single one, and that's unfortunate. So that's what I would propose.
Okay.
Since its closure in 2003, Medfield State Hospital has shuttered and closed atop 75,000 tons of toxic waste. The selectmen have approved the cleanup plan proposed by the mediation between the state and the town. The state's offering to sell to the town approximately 135 acres of the remaining 225 acres. After that, what do you see as the future for the hospital?
Well, let me start by saying that it's because of a lot of hard and diligent work by some Medfield residents, by their elected officials, by the state delegation, and Steve Lynch, who were able to work out this mediated settlement so that there's a reasonable cleanup that's going to occur, that's going to open up the Charles River watershed to the town, and a reasonable purchase price for the land. I like to do my homework. I spoke with Bill Massaro about this, and he was very kind in giving me a lot of time to fill me in on this subject. The bottom line is that I think, and I would hope, the town purchases the property, because that's going to give the town the luxury of controlling the destiny of that property and the luxury of time to figure out what they want to do. There's currently a visioning program that's being set up, or it's set up, in which the town is going to go through a process of figuring out what the town wants there. Well, whatever the result of that visioning process, as state rep, I would support what the town wants and try and help facilitate it. And that's the bottom line for that property. I think it's a wonderful story of a property that was a huge problem that is now coming full circle and going to be a benefit to the town. In fact, we had a very similar issue in Walpole with a Superfund site on South Street, and we're just now coming around the bend, and we've got a reasonable cleanup and we've got a reasonable reuse going on. So I'm familiar with that type of problem, and I applaud Medfield for coming up with such a great solution.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have had a long history of political involvement. What from your past do you think has best prepared you to represent Medfield in the State House?
Would it surprise you if I told you being on the Board of Selectmen? Would that be in keeping with what I've been saying? I really do think that my time on the Board of Selectmen has really prepared me for being a state rep. As I've said, I don't want to repeat myself too much, but I am really acutely aware of the issues that a municipality has. I mean, and those are universal, I think, within the 9th Norfolk District. I've dealt with the state reps, at least the ones from Walpole, and we have 4. I have relationships with them. I've been to Beacon Hill. I've lobbied for various funds and for things to happen. I'm not afraid to go up to the next level. I've worked with Steve Lynch on, he helped out on our Superfund site. So I know the players, I know how the system works, and I think that I've also, in my time on the Board of Selectmen, been able to enhance my skills of being a cost-effective, conscientious problem solver. I mean, that's what I do. Every day in my job, I bring people together who have adverse and divergent interests, and I come up with solutions that work for everyone. That's what I do on the Board of Selectmen, and I think that's what a state rep has to do, is work with the constituencies and come up with a solution. You also have to make decisions, and I've had to make decisions that affect people on the Board of Selectmen. And it's very, very important that I've learned you must take into account everyone's position. You can't always make everyone happy, but if everyone feels like they got a fair shake, that you listen to them and that you did your homework and you came up with a solution that is reasonable, then I think you'll be successful, and I think that's what's prepared me.
All right. Now we'd like to conclude the program with just your final closing remarks. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Medfield High School. I'd like to thank you, gentlemen, and I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for putting on this event and inviting me to participate. I think it's great, and you two should be commended for your participation in this. I'm going a little bit off my prepared remarks. I mean, I've been thinking about what I'd like to say, and it's basically, look, we're all Americans, we're all citizens of Massachusetts, we're all citizens of our own town, and we're all members of our own family, or if you're an individual, you're an individual, but you still have family members out there. And even no matter which hat of those you're wearing, you need the government. You need someone in government who's going to get the job done, and that's what I'm about. I get the job done. I do my homework. I'm diligent, and the thing you get with me is I'm not tied to any party. I'm running as an independent. So it doesn't matter to me which party a good idea comes from. If it's a good idea for the 9th Norfolk District, I will support it. If you're voting for me, you're voting against entrenchment, against stagnation. I want to move things forward. I want to get things done. I know it's not easy to do that, but I'm willing to put in the time, and I'm willing to do the homework. I'm willing to work hard for the people of the 9th Norfolk District. And as I said, I have the qualifications, the education, and the desire to do so. And I think if you give me a chance, you'll be proud of your vote. Thank you.
All right. Now, to verify that you are an active voter, or to determine what your precinct is in Medfield, log on to the Town Clerk section of the Medfield website, go to Voter Information, Am I Registered to Vote? Enter your last name, first name, and date of birth, click Search, and you will be told if you are active, what party you are affiliated with, and what precinct you are in. Remember, the special election is for 6 towns. In Medfield, this election is for precincts 3 and 4 only. The special election primary is on Tuesday, December 10th, and the special election general election is on January 7th. Thank you for joining us today. Be sure to watch all 3 of our interviews, and be sure to vote. Thanks for listening.
Hi, I'm Mike Sullivan, and you're watching Medfield.tv.